The DPWH is a house rotting from the inside because the rats and termites are in the walls.
Kaya sa mga nakikipagsabwatan upang kunin ang pondo ng bayan at nakawin ang kinabukasan ng ating mga mamamayan, mahiya naman kayo sa inyong kapwa Pilipino.
Dear DPWH, welcome to the show. A project that was 13 years in the making has been under investigation for almost 8 years. Cost over 1.2 billion pesos. What the fuck?
Collapse.
The collapse of the Cabagan Santa Maria Bridge was not an accident. That was authorized by everyone who failed to do their job. You think I'm done? No, sir. Assistant Secretary Ador Canlas, Undersecretary Eugenio Pipo, Undersecretary Maria Catalina Cabral. Kailangan managot ang dapat managot. And with everything I know now, I can only start this episode with this. All of these people nananatili sa DPWH.
Karamihan ng involved dyan sa project na yan.
Retired na. Wala na pala.
Makes you think, no? Makes you think.
Right now, no one was preventively suspended.
Karamihan ng involved dyan sa project na yan.
Retired na.
Enough.
The Bureau of Design is involved.
Yes, Your Honor.
Bridget.
Dito lang sa Phase 3.
So sa Phase 1, hindi involved ang
Hindi
Bureau of
involved,
Design.
hindi
So,
po. Phase 2, hindi rin.
is this bridge more than 75?
Yes, Your Honor.
Oh, so bakit hindi involved ang Bureau of Design sa Phase 1?
Hindi involved siya. Your Honor.
You said kanina Phase 3 na. So sa Phase 1, hindi involved ang
Hindi
Bureau of
involved,
Design.
hindi
So,
po. Phase 2, hindi rin.
Bridget.
Dito lang sa Phase 3.
parang hindi kayo seryoso sa investigation na to.
Ang bilis magsisipagsinungaling sa mga hearing. Madami pa ang mangyayari and we are just scratching the surface. There was clear malfeasance by DPWH people in this project. Very clear. There was gross neglect. There was deliberate cover-up. And now we have a new secretary, Mr. Vince Dizon. I don't know if you remember, but we worked together. And as a former colleague, let me tell you this. The Cabagan Santa Maria Bridge should have been terminated a long time ago. It is just right that in your want to clean this house, you wanted to start right by starting from there. Pero wag po ninyong tatapusin dyan. Kailangang maparusahan ang mga nagpabaya. Dahil kung nangyari yan sa Cabagan Santa Maria Bridge, nangyari yan sa ibang proyekto. Lahat na pinrotektahan sa project na ito, maliban sa
Cj Hirro is one of the best active female news anchors in the Philippines today, turning the page on a remarkable career in pageantry, where she won essentially every beauty pageant she ever joined. She leverages her platform to address critical social and political issues. Beyond her role as an anchor, Cj also serves as a volunteer firefighter, demonstrating her commitment to community service. Of the 11 PGMN Rockstar anchors, Cj has thus far been the most viral on every social media platform.
Hi everyone! We are not a corporate-backed media giant with deep pockets and hundreds of staff. We are a lean, scrappy startup, independent, privately funded, and powered by passion. This community means everything to us, and we are grateful you're here helping it grow. Now, we are taking it a step further. We've got birds! Let us all wear our message literally on our sleeves. Let's keep building. Let's keep fighting. Let's keep growing strong because we are proudly PGMN. The foundation of a good story is in starting it right. That's your pitch. That's your hook. So ginagawa ko, after tedious research, after ko magpaka-deep dive sa mga topic, I make sure I nail the beginning. Diyan nagsisimula ang latag. A story only stands as strong as the way it starts. Now, if only infrastructure projects were laid out the same way, we would not even need this episode. Pero nandito na tayo. And with everything I know now, I can only start this episode with this. Dear DPWH, welcome to the show. What the fuck?
Sa mga nakikipagsabwatan upang kunin ang pondo ng bayan at nakawin ang kinabukasan ng ating mga mamamayan. Mahiya naman kayo sa inyong kapwa Pilipino.
Much has been said and discovered nitong mga nakaraang linggo tungkol sa maanomalyang mga flood control projects na yan. And we have every right para magalit. 1.9 trillion pesos since 2011. 1 trillion dito, more than half, ginastos sa nakalipas na 3 taon lang para sa DPWH Flood Management Programmed Appropriations o yung official line item sa General Appropriations Act o GAA para pondohan ang mga proyekto, specifically para makontrol ang pagbaha o maiwasan ito. But we are all witnesses to how quick and how bad flooding happens tuwing panahon ng tag-ulan.
Bumalik na ako, hindi na ako nakapasok sa trabaho. Kahit umikot ako sa may Gadsalian, wala pa rin hanggang leeg.
Ang second floor, lublob na. Hanggang leeg na nila daw.
Lampas tayo ang tubig. Kasi simple evacuate na ang mga tao.
First time ko makita ng ganito kataas na baha, na grabe po, na nasa na yung flood control project.
Tapos, makikita natin, nagfa-flex ng kung ano-ano ang mga contractor ng mga palpak na flood control projects na yan.
Pagpasok, pag nagpa-park sila dito, ang dami yung gandang kotse, kanino yan? Sa amin lahat yan yung luxury cars.
Akala mo naman, kinaganda o kinagwapo nila yung yaman nila. Di naman. Tapos, malalaman natin na yung mga taong in charge sa paggawa ng budget ng bansa taon-taon, mga contractor din, na nagbigay sa sarili nila ng mga project at kumita ng milyon-milyon, bilyon-bilyon. Tapos maraming palpak o non-existent nga. Ghost projects. Tapos makikita natin yung mga anak nila, mga kamag-anak, kung saan-saan nagpupunta at kung ano-ano ang fine-flex online.
We have a new car. Oh my God. Sobrang kilig ko kasi this car is gifted to me by my dad. And wala lang, hindi ko lang in-expect na in this lifetime magkakaroon tayo ng ganitong car. Like, basta, hindi ko ma-explain. Basta, thank you, Daddy.
Si Daddy rin yung reason kung bakit ako na-discover siguro. Kasi, yung ginawa ko yung house tour video, doon na nag-grow yung channel ko. And that's when I went home nung July.
Galing kaming Lululemon. Magkano tayo? Nasa 250. Ay, naka 250k kami. In peso. Ang dami kong binili.
Ang mas nakakagimbal sa lahat ng yan, ang kakapal ng mukha na idamay pa si God o si Lord sa blessings nila. Sabi nga ng boss namin dito sa PGMN, it's as if God sent those floods to expose these scalawags. It's as if God wanted to tell these, enough! Enough! Madami pa ang mangyayari and we are just scratching the surface pagdating sa mga flood control projects na ito. Nagsisimula pa lang ang storya ng mga yan. Magagalit tayo sa mga district engineers, regional directors, contractors, even the DPWH secretary, past or present. But you know what? We are missing a few people here. Because the people I just mentioned, except for the congressmen and the secretary, do not make the decisions in the Department of Public Works and Highways, especially when it comes to big-ticket projects. They do not decide on the final design or plans of a project. They do not control what makes it to the NEP, yung NEP, o yung National Expenditure Program. Some other people do that. Big people from the DPWH. And for some weird reason, none of them have been put on preventive suspension. We're not even talking about them. Sure, because the investigation has just started. Sa flood control, oo. There is, however, one case na although gumuho na nga ang structure, ay buo na ang storya. A project na kahit paano mo paikot-ikutin, malinaw kung sino ang mga dapat may pananagutan. A project that we are all very familiar with, but somehow know very little of. A project that was 13 years in the making, has been under investigation for almost 8 years, cost over 1.2 billion pesos, excluding the fee of the designer, collapsed even before it was actually opened for full public use, and only one entity charged so far.
Walang 100 tons yun. Hindi pang mining na truck yun. Sa dinami-dami naming tinadaan ng tulay, wala namang bumigay. Yun lang ang talagang bumigay na tulay.
Wala naman po siguro may gusto na maputol na bigla yung tulay kasi di naman namin po inaasahan. Siyempre bago. Alam namin bago matibay.
The driver of the overloaded truck that allegedly caused the collapse of one part of the structure. I am talking about the Cabagan Santa Maria Bridge.
At about 8 p.m. on Thursday, February 27, the third span on the Cabagan side of the Cabagan Santa Maria Bridge collapsed after a dump truck carrying boulders.
Design flaw. It is a design flaw. Mali yung design. Design is really weak.
It was supposed to be the first of its kind here in the Philippines. A tide arch bridge spanning 990 meters over the Cagayan River. It was supposed to be a majestic landmark that links the provinces of Isabela and Cagayan. Now for context, Isabela is the largest corn producer in the country. Ang Cagayan naman is a major rice and tobacco producer.
Dito 200 hectares, iso iti mamulmulaan, iti kada tawon na po nga pinagmulmula mi iti pagay ket hammi nga maidyan daytoy hybrid rice ta iso iti nagdakkel nga pangalaan mi iti pagbiag mi iti barangay Remebella.
Mahalagang koneksyon sana ang Cabagan Santa Maria Bridge mula sa mga maliliit na kalsada papunta sa Maharlika Highway o yung Pan-Philippine Highway. Malaking tulong sana ito sa mga magsasaka natin. Malaking tulong din sana sa mga kababayan natin sa Isabela at Cagayan para mas madaling makatawid para sa mga pangangailangang medikal, para sa edukasyon o para sa trabaho. Meron namang lumang overflow bridge dyan, kaya lang hindi nadadaanan kapag maulan dahil nalulubog. Now, the new Cabagan Santa Maria Bridge was urgently needed, and now I don't think it will ever be used at all.
Yung paperwork lang at facts is more than enough to show na hindi aksidente ito. This was waiting to happen talaga.
And even if they get the collapsed part fixed, I don't think I would use it. There's just too many things that went wrong with the construction of that bridge. Too many wrong calls and decisions. I do not trust anything about it. Just as I do not trust that enough is being done para panagutin yung mga nagkamali dyan. Because if that is the case, there should be less people there sa DPWH.
Mukhang ang paniwala ng Pangulo, palpak yung project, may mga dapat na managot na opisyal o mula sa pamahalaan at siguro sa private sector. Dito ho pa mayroon ng pwedeng gawing aksyon ng DPWH. Halimbawa, i-relieve muna lahat ng opisyal ng DPWH na involved sa project na yon.
Well, sa tinagal-tagal na ng project na yan, Ka-Jerry, karamihan ng na-involved dyan sa project na yan, either
retired na. Wala na pala.
Now, to be fair, si Secretary Bonoan was an appointee. So I do not expect him to know the full history of this project. But whoever fed him this lame excuse lied to him.
Have you suspended anyone preventive suspension?
Actually, Your Honor, we have a suspension.
No, yes or no, sir? As of today, this morning, now as we speak, may preventive suspension kayo, wala?
Wala pa doon,
Okay.
Your Honor.
What kind of investigation are you doing? That's why I want your secretary here. Parang hindi kayo seryoso sa, sabi ni Senator Revilla, heads have to roll. How will they roll if you allow them to talk to people, to do everything, etc.? If I was the guilty person, what will I do? I'll cover up, di ba? Parang hindi kayo seryoso sa investigation na to.
Now, that hearing was on March 14 of this year. 6 months ago, wala pa ring napaparusahan o nasuspend man lang sa DPWH. And later, you will understand why. Now, let's revisit that project. It started in 2012. Naghanap ng consultant ang DPWH para tulungan ang Bureau of Design at ang regional at district offices nila sa paggawa at review ng mga detailed engineering design at yung special studies nila para sa iba't ibang proyekto, kasama ang Cabagan Santa Maria Bridge. The contract was for 163 million pesos. Ang nanalo sa bidding ay ang joint venture ng United Technologies Consolidated Partnership o UTCP, PERT Consult International, and Schema Engineers and Associates. February 7 to 8, 2013, bumisita sa site ng pagtatayuan ng bridge ang team ng PERT Consult. May project manager, si Jose Antolin Negro. Nandyan ang structural engineer at naging designer na si Engineer Albert Cañete at geodetic engineer Epifanio Lopez. The detailed engineering design or DED for the 12-span tide arch bridge concept was submitted to and approved by the Bureau of Design. Take note, under Section 4 of Annex A of the Revised Implementing Rules and Regulations of RA 9184 o ang Procurement Law, kung yung facility or structure fails due to faulty design, the consultant is fully responsible. The responsibility for the technical soundness and integrity of that design remains with the consultant. Hindi pwedeng sabihin ng consultant, inaprubuhan ng DPWH, damay ang pumirma. No, no, no. Maliban na lang kung may binago sa design ang DPWH o kung sino man nang hindi naaprubahan ng designer. Malinaw yan. Now, before tayo pumunta sa bidding, let me tell you first how a tide arch bridge works and why it was used in this particular project. This is important to understand dahil dito magsisimulang magkanda-leche-leche ang proyekto na ito. Sa regular bridge na walang arko, ang magbibitbit ng weight ng mga sasakyan ay yung girders. Yung horizontal o pahalang na supports na nagbibitbit sa deck at nagtatransfer ng load to the piers, abutments o yung mga haligi. Ibig sabihin, vertical thrust lang, pababa lang. And with that, kailangan mo ng solid na ground for multiple supports. Sa tide arch bridge, yung arko ang nagbibitbit ng weight. So yung vertical hangers ang nagtatransfer ng bigat mula sa deck papunta sa arko. Ang arko, kapag inaplayan mo yan ng vertical thrust, nang walang suporta sa gilid, bubukayan sa dulo. Ang pipigil dyan ay yung deck itself. Kaya nakadugtong ang arko sa deck. So thrust is contained within the structure. Ginagamit ang design na yan kapag mahirap maglagay ng malalim tsaka malapad na foundation at support system dahil mahina ang base na paglalagyan ng foundation o hindi mahuhukay ng malalim. So this is very good for bridges that go over rivers. Here's the thing though, and this is very important dahil babalikan natin ito mamaya. The way to build it is to start with the substructure first, then the superstructure. Uunahin mo yung foundation, piles, abutments o yung magkabilang dulo ng bridge at piers bago mo ilatag ang deck, ang girders, yung arko mo at yung mga hangers. You need the substructure in place before the superstructure. Otherwise, loads cannot be safely transferred. Hindi gagana dito yung gagawin mo siya per span o per segment because the system depends on the arch, tie, and abutments working together. So dapat mula baba pataas. Kapag ginawa mo yan span by span, you will have, number one, unstable loads because each span relies on balanced forces. Arko ang bahala sa compression at yung tie deck para naman sa tension. So kapag hindi kumpleto ang abutments or foundations to anchor yung horizontal thrust o yung horizontal pushing o movement mo has nowhere to go and you will risk collapse. Pangalawa, excessive differential settlement. Kapag hindi kumpleto ang substructures mo, hindi pantay-pantay magsesettle ang segments mo. So, pwede kang magkaroon ng misalignment. Pangatlo, hanger mistensioning. Yung hangers mo, dapat installed yan with precise tension. So, kung yung arko mo tsaka dugtungan sa deck are not supported properly, pwedeng magsag ang deck mo o ma-distort yung arko mo. And if you build this way, segmental structural failure ang ending mo. If the tie beam is not fully functional early in the process, yung arko mo will push outward. At kung yung foundations are not ready or are not there yet to resist, progressive collapse ang mangyayari dyan. Unlike roads, kapag nagkamali ka sa isang segment, pwedeng in isolation mo yan ayusin. Pwede mong ituloy yung mga susunod na segment and there will be no risk of them being affected if you get one segment wrong. Sa tulay, especially one like the Cabagan Santa Maria Bridge, iba. You must get every segment right and precise. If one fails, all the others fail. So mahalaga na qualified din ang contractor mo pagdating sa knowledge kung paano itatayo ang tulay. Hindi lang sa financial qualification dapat ang sukatan. After the Detailed Engineering Design or DED for the 12-span Tide Arch Bridge was approved, ginawan na ng Program of Work at Budget Cost ng DPWH. Ano ang nakalagay sa Program of Work sa first phase? Abutment A, Abutment B, Piers 1 to 11, and superstructure for spans 1 to 7. Malinaw, uunahin ang substructure bago ang superstructure. Why then, pagdating sa invitation to bid na dumaan sa central office, napalitan ang scope of work to abutment A, piers 1 to 8, approach A, and superstructure for spans 1 to 8. What's the right way of doing it? All substructure first before the superstructure. Otherwise, you will risk collapse. First, red flag. Now, I assume that most, if not all of you there sa central office are engineers. So, paano ho nakalusot na ganito ang maging methodology ng pag-construct ng bridge na yan? Paano ho na-approve yan? And if the concern then was the disbursement of budget para sa first phase and availability of budget para sa phase 2, why then was it not tagged as a multi-year project instead para may allocation agad for the next phase at masiguro na tama ang pagkakagawa ng bridge na yan? Sa inyo ho magsisimula yan, di ba? Kayo ang magja-justify bakit ganoon dapat ang paggawa at bakit kailangan siyang masiguro na mapondohan sa susunod na phase. Bakit hindi na-propose na ganoon ang gawin? Kayo ho dapat ang expert dyan at dapat kayong pakinggan. You can say, sir, it should be done this way or wag na lang nating gawin dahil masisira ito. But no! It was bidded out na hanggang span 8 lang ang substructure out of 12 at bubuuin ang superstructure hanggang span 8. You might know the answer, Undersecretary Eugenio Pipo. After all, I assume you reviewed this project since you were Assistant Secretary for Operations in Luzon during this time.
Have you suspended anyone preventive suspension?
Actually, Your Honor, we have a suspension.
No, yes or no, sir? As of today, this morning, now as we speak, may preventive suspension kayo, wala?
Wala pa doon,
Okay.
Your Honor.
What kind of investigation are you doing? That's why I want your secretary here. Parang hindi kayo seryoso sa investigation na to.
Another person who might have the answer dahil matagal na siya dyan sa DPWH, Ma'am Maria Catalina Cabral, Undersecretary for Planning sa DPWH ngayon.
Pwede po bang pakipaliwanag ano yung multi-year contractual authority?
Yun po ay isang dokumento, Your Honor, na ini-issue ng Department of Budget and Management para makakontrata, makapag-bid at maka-enter into contract ng isang proyekto kahit na po yung amount niya ay hindi for the year ay hindi po enough kasi pwede naman pong ilagay sa susunod na taon.
So ito ay para sa mga multi-year project.
Multi-year project.
So ano yung mga multi-year project?
Depende po, marami po kasing proyektong hindi agad natatapos sa isang taon.
Okay. So ang multi-year project po ay para sa mga proyekto na hindi kayang tapusin sa isang taon. So para makapag-bid ang gobyerno ng proyektong ganyan, kailangan makakuha ng multi-year contractual authority ang ahensya.
Tama po, Your
Sino
Honor.
po ang nagbibigay ng MYCA?
Ang DBM po. Your Honor.
DBM. So kailangan may pagpayag, di ba? Pag-approve.
Yes po, Your Honor.
Okay. Usually, ano po yung mga example ng mga proyekto na binibigyan ng MYCA?
Normally po yung mga big ticket projects po na
Big ticket projects. Katulad ng?
Siguro mga tulay.
Mga tulay. Yung kasi hindi matatapos ng isang taon.
Tama po.
Sa flood control po, meron ba?
Wala po ako natatandaan.
Wala kayong natatandaan.
Please tell us why this was not proposed as a multi-year project. You were Assistant Secretary for Planning Service in 2013, were you not? Hindi ho ba part of your job to assess the department's project proposals for inclusion in the National Expenditure Program? Now, I'm not accusing you of anything. I genuinely want to know what happened. At bakit walang sinabi ang designer na si Engineer Cañete? Tapos nung nag-collapse, tsaka niya ini-insist na dapat substructure muna bago superstructure. Bakit wala siyang sinabi sa stage na ito pa lang? I would assume na because this was the first of its kind dito sa bansa and considering how important this project is and how this was supposed to be like the San Juanico Bridge in that it was going to be a landmark. Pagtutuunan ng pansin ang construction niyan mula sa umpisa pa lang because that is the most important part.
Kahit ano pong proyekto na funded ng kahit anong pondo ay dapat pong pinapatupad ng tama, may disenyong tama, tamang program of work, tamang costing, at ito po ay dapat ipatupad ng ayos sa timeline at sa budget po, Your Honor, kahit po saan pa manggaling yung proyekto.
Makes you think, no? Makes you think.
Noon dahil sa kaliwat kanang kapalpakan, naikabit na ang kanilang pakanan sa mga proyektong sinisemento ng tompads, inaaspalto ng suhol at pinipinturahan ng under the table. Ang kanilang mga programa at inisyatiba parang habang buhay na lamang na under construction.
Pero kayong may kasalanan dyan sa mga ganon, I advise you to resign now. Resign now. Kasi pagdating ng panahon, I will throw the book at you. Even the kitchen sink. Saka makita ninyo, you will be prosecuted administratively and criminally at walang patawaran dito. Ang ibang kasalanan, okay lang. Pero itong mga ghost project, mga project na wala dyan, you will go to jail for that.
Kitang-kita ko na maraming proyekto para sa flood control ay palpak at gumuho. At yung iba, guni-guni lang. Alam naman ng buong madla na nagkakaraket sa mga proyekto. Mga kickback, mga initiative, errata, SOP, for the boys. Kaya sa mga nakikipagsabwatan upang kunin ang pondo ng bayan at nakawin ang kinabukasan ng ating mga mamamayan, mahiya naman kayo sa inyong kapwa Pilipino.
So the project was bidded out. Ang requirement, dapat may experience in completing a structural steel bridge contract worth at least 50% of the estimated steel cost, pegged at 241.9 million pesos. On June 25, 2014, DPWH issued Bid Bulletin Number 2, which said that bidders could enter into a contract with a company or person na may experience na sa paggawa ng structural steel bridge. Now, this arrangement could be through a subcontractor, supplier, or joint venture partner. October 20 of that same year, sabi ng Bids and Awards Committee, walang pumasa sa requirement. But one of the ineligible bidders, RD Interior Junior Construction or RDIJC, asked for reconsideration. Sabi nila, may memorandum of agreement daw sila with Grandspan Development Corporation na magfa-fabricate, supply, deliver at install ng steel components of the bridge kung manalo ang RDIJC sa bidding. Sabi nila, this satisfied the condition set by the DPWH sa Bid Bulletin Number 2, which again allowed bidders to tie up with a subcontractor or supplier with the needed track record. On the same day na sinabi ng BAC na walang pumasa sa eligibility sa bidding, it recommended to award the contract to RDIJC and was approved. Kinabukasan, October 21, 2014, the notice of award for contract ID number 14Z00003 was issued. But here's the problem. RA 9184 or the procurement law does not allow a subcontractor's credentials to count at the bidding stage. The procurement law only allows joint venture partnerships. A memorandum of agreement is not the same as a joint venture. Anong difference? Ang joint venture nakaregister sa DTI o SEC. So yung mga kumpanya na under a joint venture are treated as one entity. Bakit? Specifically, yan ang sinabi sa IRR ng procurement law. Because in case may defect o sira ang structure, lahat ng kumpanya na kasama sa joint venture pwedeng habulin ng gobyerno. Sa Memorandum of Agreement, subcontractor lang ang isa. This is a private agreement, and a subcontractor is only liable for the work assigned to them and not for the entire project. So, the government cannot go after them directly if things go wrong. In short, illegal ang Bid Bulletin Number 2 ng DPWH.
Tama po, Your Honor, Mr. Chair. Kasi ho, pagpapabid po yan, kompleto po dapat, meron pong plano, gunawa po dapat yung ABC ng tama, program of work, para maipabid po yan. Requirement po yun ng procurement law.
But the contract was awarded and construction activities began in November of 2014. Red flag number 2. Now, like I said earlier, and as we should know by now, ang paggawa ng bridge na ito required exactness. It required attention. It required technical knowledge kung paano dapat ito i-construct. When RDIJC saw the original design and plan of the bridge, even they did not raise any concern about the fact that the segmental methodology is wrong, that the bridge should be built substructure first before superstructure. Uulitin ko lang, this was supposed to be the first of its kind sa bansa. Ibig sabihin, wala pang nakagawa. Ibig sabihin, kung technical capability lang, walang magkukwalify sa mga contractors dito sa Pilipinas. It should not have been enough to subcontract yung steel component ng construction. Sa financial aspect, sure, pasok. Pero sa experience, sa paggawa ng ganitong klaseng tulay, 0 plus 0 is still 0. Ang dapat na ginawa dyan, naghanap ng foreign partner, yung may technical know-how man lang sa paggawa ng ganitong tulay. But that's not what happened. And the consequences of this decision would contribute greatly to the failure of this project.
Ang recommendations namin already is to file actually yung mga civil cases against yung mga what we feel na what we know na medyo may kulang sa paggagawa, let's say sa contractor o sa designer, and of course yung truck na nakasira.
Sa dinami-dami naming tinadaan ng tulay, wala namang bumigay. Yun lang ang talagang bumigay na tulay.
Kasi di naman namin po inaasahan, syempre bago. Alam namin bago matibay.
Red flag number 3. In 2015, nagsubmit ang contractor ng shop drawings o yung detailed drawings para sa proposed field joint or field splice location at camber diagram ng bridge to the DPWH Regional Office, then headed by Regional Director Nery Bueno para i-approve. For reference, ito ang original plan para dyan at ito naman ang sinend ng contractor. Magkaibang magkaiba, di ba? Pinasa ni Regional Director Bueno yung shop drawings sa central office para i-review ng Bureau of Design. 1 month later, finorward ng Bureau of Design ang shop drawings na yan sa UTCP at Port Consult. Dalawa sa mga kumpanya sa joint venture na kinuha ng DPWH to do the engineering design ng tulay na yan. Sabi ng Bureau of Design, may pagkakaiba yung shop drawings doon sa original na ginawang design at approved construction plans. Sabi ng BOD, baka kailanganin na baguhin yung design calculations at baka kailangan i-recompute ang actual quantities dahil sa pagkakaiba na ito. 2 months later, sumagot naman yung dalawa at nag-forward din sila ng mga comments nila, adjustments or corrections sa drawing. But hindi nila na-address yung concern ng Bureau of Design na baka kailangang mag-recalculate dahil may deviations, may pagkakaiba sa shop drawing na sinabmit ng contractor kumpara sa originally approved design. Maybe it was an oversight. I don't know. But no one raised the issue again. Walang nagtanong ulit or nag-clarify. And so, the shop drawings were approved by the designer and the DPWH Central Office. Not even then, Regional Director Nery Bueno raised any concern sa issue ng pagkakaiba ng drawing ng contractor sa original plan. Lahat yan mga engineer. Engineer Nery Bueno is currently an assistant secretary under Undersecretary Ador Canlas, who is supervising all the regional offices in Visayas and Mindanao. Red flag number 4. In 2016, the DPWH published the bidding documents for Phase 2 of the construction of the Cabagan Santa Maria Bridge, which included Approach A, Piers 8 to 12, and Approach B. And again, it was awarded to RDI-JC. Fast forward to 2018. Nagawa na ang substructures para sa second phase covering spans 9 to 12 at yung abutment B. Tapos na ilagay ang superstructure ng span 8. Project engineer Felipe Lingan did an inspection. What did he see? The deck slab, yung concrete slab kung saan umaandar yung sasakyan natin, yung nakikita natin kapag nagda-drive tayo, shifted sideways by about 100 millimeters, almost 4 inches at the joint between spans 7 and 8. Now, this sideways push created chain reactions sa bridge support. And because the deck pushed sideways, yung dalawang column ng Pier 8 tilted. Cracks formed on the sides of the pier columns due to the tension forces dahil sa movement ng slabs. Yung mga bolt holding the main steel girder to the arch near Pier 7 were all sheared off. Nabali lahat. Nag-snap lahat by the strong sideways force. The outermost steel cross beam ng Pier 7, yung beam that ties the structure side to side, na-deformed. A 25 millimeter steel brace rod at Pier 7 also snapped under stress. Sabi ni Project Engineer Lingan, yung condition ng span number 8 is very critical and alarming. Kaya ni-request niya ang regional office na magkaroon ng immediate assessment and investigation of the structure. The regional office requested the Bureau of Design to send bridge inspectors para tingnan ang tulay. Now, the project manager of the contractor, RDIJC, together with the bridge designer, Engineer Cañete, then inspected the bridge and basically agreed sa sinabi na findings ni Engineer Lingan with added information that the floor deck of span 8 shifted forward towards abutment B, not just sideways as observed by Engineer Lingan. This caused the expansion joint between spans 7 and 8 to open. Ano pa? The concrete slab of span 8 sagged downwards near the midspan with a deflection of more or less 100 millimeters o almost 4 inches. Sa kasong ito, malaki ang 4 inches. Ang recommendation nila, madaliin yung paglagay ng arko ng span 9 para tulungan ang span 8 at isunod ang superstructure ng lahat ng remaining spans para maayos at mas steady ang substructures ng Pier 9 to 11 at yung abutment B. The bridge inspectors of the Bureau of Design na ni-request ng regional office did its own inspection and basically also said the same thing. May displacement at may mga nabaklas na connection dahil dito. The findings of the Bureau of Design were basically the same. Pero mas malala ang nakita nilang problema. Halimbawa, the floor beam connected to the bottom chord of span 8 dropped 50 millimeters. The hanger rod dropped 90 millimeters or about 3.5 inches. Pier 8 columns tilted towards Pier 9 with a horizontal displacement of 168 millimeters or about 6.6 inches. Ang laki, di ba? Yung mga cracks noted in both columns from hairline up to 3 millimeters wide, extending up to 4 meters high, spaced 100 to 200 millimeters or almost 4 to 8 inches apart. Gumuguho na ang proyekto. And for the first time, at least on record, it was said, construction methodology and procedure was not indicated in the approved original plan. Ang daming dinaanang opisina, ang daming dinaanang tao, most, if not all, are engineers. Doon lang na-acknowledge that this project started wrong.